How's it going, everybody? My name is Rinzler here, back again for another video, and welcome back to the channel. We're going to be doing another shoot video today, and as always, in this context, shoot means to tell the absolute truth about something, not to actually shoot nobody with a gun. Alright, now, I've been asked questions in the past about why I used to dye my hair. Man, I'll tell you what, I used to dye my hair all the time. Like, for a straight year, I kept my hair colored. I'm a natural blonde, so a lot of people are wondering why I would dye my hair if I was a natural blonde or whatever, because it's usually non-blondes dyeing their hair. They're usually dyeing their hair blonde, actually. So a lot of people have been asking why I used to cover up my natural blonde locks all the time. Well, I'll tell you what, I actually hated having blonde hair for most of my life. Like, even when I was in elementary school, I wanted to dye it. Like, I really wanted to dye it black because my brother and mom's hair are all black. I got the blonde hair from my dad, and believe me when I say I stick out kind of like a sore thumb where I live because there's not a lot of blonde people in New England. So and most of the blonde people in New England are fake blondes, as far as I can tell. And most blonde-haired boys have really short hair, and my hair has always been like usually medium length. I don't usually cut it too short. One time I shaved it bald, which I'm planning on talking about in a different shoot video. But in this video, I'm just going to be talking about why I used to dye it. Um, you know, I hated having blonde hair. I hated sticking out like a sore thumb because I already stuck out like a sore thumb in my school, based on my personality, because I wasn't really into sports or whatever. So on top of having a really unique appearance, man, I couldn't take it. And most people who know me in high school, they think that I like to get a lot of attention. And in high school, I actually did like getting attention. But in middle school and elementary school, I really liked to stay, hidden or whatever. I didn't like it when people looked at me or whatever. It still makes me a little awkward when a bunch of people stare at me. Don't get me wrong, but like I used to be a lot more uncomfortable around people when I was younger. I used to have some real anxiety issues. So I really wanted to blend in a bit more. So I wanted to dye my hair black. And my dad said no, probably because he didn't want me to cover up the traits I got from him. Because a lot of people think that I inherited most of my mom's traits. Like I got my mom's nose, my mom's ears, my mom's hands. So I don't know. I think maybe my dad wanted me to keep the traits of his because I look so much like my mom or whatever. That's at least what I've been told. Either way, I didn't actually get the opportunity to dye my hair for the first time until I was in my freshman year. I remember my least favorite year of high school because I was such an asshole. Not because the work was bad or nothing, just I really regret being such a dick during my freshman year or whatever. Anyway, that was the first time I ever dyed my hair because after I left the X122 YouTube channel to start the Amped Crusaders, I decided I wanted to start dyeing my hair, just to stand out a little bit better. As though my blonde hair didn't make me stand out enough, I guess. So basically, my idea was to get this not permanent hair dye, this spray on stuff that would wash out first time you took a shower. And I was going to use that spray on hair dye every day so that I could change the color of my hair for a bunch of different YouTube videos. The first time I dyed my hair, I was hoping to dye it half blue and half blonde, or just keep half of my hair the normal color and dye the other half blue. That was the first look I wanted to go for. So I did that, or rather my mom did. My mom sprayed my hair with the can. First thing we noticed is that the hair dye smelled terrible. Like it reeked. Like even after a couple of hours, you could still smell it all over the place. And my mom's really sensitive to strong smells. It gives her bad migraines. So immediately I knew that doing that every day was not going to happen. Like I could already tell that that was going to be a problem. So I still did a video with that blue hair in my freshman year, but it was so faint that you could hardly tell. It almost made my hair look gray. It was really bad. The product that I used for that particular hair dye job was really bad. So I never tried to dye my hair again in my freshman year after that. I washed that shit out, and I kept my natural blonde hair throughout the rest of my freshman year and all of my sophomore year, or most of my sophomore year, I should say, because the next time I dyed my hair was at the very end of my sophomore year. I had just gotten out of a really bad phase, and I wanted a new look so that people would know that I was turning over a new leaf, changing up my life a little bit. So I wanted to change up my look. So I started to grow out my facial hair, but I also wanted to dye my hair white because I wanted to dye it white because at that point I was a huge fan of the movie Amadeus, and I still like that movie a lot, but it's no longer in my top. It's no longer in my top two favorite movies because I watched Batman Returns, and now I think that took Amadeus's spot. But at that point, Amadeus was the movie I really wanted to emulate a little bit. So on top of kind of adopting Mozart's laugh from that movie, that like high pitched giggle, I also wanted to dye my hair white to pay homage to the powdered wig era, I guess you could say. Thing is, I went to Walmart. There was no white hair dye anywhere. Um, then we went to Sally's Beauty Salon, which is a place that I was really embarrassed to be at because it was a girl's store, for lack of a better word, and I'm not a girl, and I'm also straight as a whistle, so I didn't want people getting any ideas about my sexuality or whatever because I like girls through and through. So I was really embarrassed to be at Sally's, and even more annoyed because we didn't find the white hair dye there either. The closest thing we could find was this like faded white. It was like this white hair dye that had like a blue smoky tint to it. Like it was white, but you could see like hints of blue or whatever in it as well. And I decided that was better than nothing. So we put that shit in my hair, but it was all blue. It wasn't faded blue like it was labeled as. It ended up being all blue. So I accidentally dyed my hair blue instead of white. Uh, and as the next couple weeks that after I dyed my hair, it did start to turn whiter and whiter. But I actually started to really like that blue hair dye look because it matched my blue eye color perfectly. So after the blue dye started to fade into white, I decided to just get proper blue hair dye and just redo my all my hair. So my mom she put on these latex gloves and she put all this blue crap in my hair. It got all over my forehead, all over my cheeks. I had to shave off my facial hair. Not the first time I had to do that because hair dye got all over it. Uh, and basically, after I dyed my hair, my mom put this plastic wrap all over my hair, and then she wrapped this heat pack around my head, sort of like a big turban, and told me to wait for like 40 minutes for my hair to get all hot so that the dye would settle. And then I took a shower, and that blue hair dye fucking got everywhere, and I do mean everywhere. Like it got all over the sink in the bathroom. It got on the toilet, got on the floor, got on the towels and the washcloths. It got on the walls in the shower, and it definitely got on the bathtub floor. Holy shit! It took me forever to get that blue hair dye out of the bathtub. Because the thing is, after you dye your hair, you're supposed to continuously shower so that you can wash out all the excess dye or whatever, and then everything that's left over will stick. So I had to do that, and every time I dyed my hair, that dye would get everywhere. Because I continuously would dye my hair like every month or two after that. And every time I dyed my hair would get darker and darker till it was almost black by the time I was done dyeing my hair blue. Because I kept my hair dyed blue from July of 2017 until about February of 2018. So I had that blue hair dye look for quite a long time. Uh, and I started to do a bunch of other exotic things with my appearance during my junior year. Things that I think are really silly looking back on. Like I started wearing all these colorful bracelets, and I started wearing black nail polish on my fingers. I just and I was Christian at that point, so I was also wearing a cross around my neck. I think I look like a fucking idiot during my junior year looking back now. But back then I thought I was the coolest motherfucker. I came to school feeling like I could conquer the world. Like I felt so unique and so badass was a junior, but now looking back, I'm cringing because I think I look like a fucking idiot. Um, it didn't help that a couple of times I actually wore lipstick as well. That was more when I became goth than during this time period. But like I did use lipstick, black lipstick, a couple of times as well. I really wanted to make my appearance distinct, and I think I succeeded in that vein. And then I needed to get new prescription as well, so I deliberately chose golden glasses or whatever, gold wireframe glasses that kind of made me look like an old man. And I kept those wireframe glasses for a while as well. I kept the golden wireframe glasses until about spring of 2019, and then I traded them in for the black frame glasses that I've been wearing ever since. Should never have worn the gold frames. That was a mistake. They worked fine, but I don't think they were a good look for me. They made me look way older than I was. Um, yeah, and so I eventually kind of disliked the black or the blue hair dye because I was getting tired of the same look and it was getting darker and darker. And my friends were pointing out to me, they were telling me that my hair almost looked black. I got called Marth a couple of times by this kid in class. He called me Marth, like from Smash Brothers uh, or Fire Emblem. That's what it was. Fire Emblem and Smash Brothers. I've never played Fire Emblem, so I know him from Smash Brothers. But um, but yeah, I was getting tired of my hair getting darker and darker, and we could have bleached it and redid it, but at that point, I was getting a little bit sick of the blue color anyway. So I decided to switch things up, and I dyed my hair red. The first time I dyed my hair red, it did not come out the color I wanted it to, though. Actually, wait. I'm sorry, I skipped a part of my story, come to think of it. A couple parts of my story about the blue hair. First thing I forgot to mention is that when I dyed my hair blue, I changed my name here on YouTube to Bittersweet Blue Gold. Because I had blonde facial hair and I had blue hair. Uh, so that's why I chose that name. And I had to go clean shaven several times during my hair dyeing because the dye would keep getting in my beard and my mom wouldn't let me keep my facial hair colored. So she would always make me shave my face after I dyed my hair if I was unable to keep the dye out of my facial hair. And that drove me crazy during my junior year because during my junior year, I really wanted to grow a big beard, which was kind of embarrassing looking back because by that point, I was unable to grow facial hair on my upper lip and on my chin. I was only able to grow facial hair on my sideburns and on my cheeks. So yeah, it was pretty embarrassing to begin with. I shouldn't have been growing a beard in high school anyway. Like that honestly deserves a shoot video of its own. My experiments with facial hair in high school. That deserves its own shoot video. But the second part of the story I forgot to mention is that in early 2018, I was really going through some heavy depression and like suicidal thoughts. Like I was actually hospitalized very briefly, and when I came out of the hospital, I wanted to change up my look again, just to kind of show what I'd been through. So I added a pink streak to my hair just to kind of show that, the suicidal period I'd just gone through had kind of left a mark on me or whatever. So I bleached a part of my hair and I wanted it to be blonde, just to show that there was like cracks in the bittersweet blue gold facade. So I wanted to show like some blonde streak or whatever. But because I was bleaching hair that was already blue, it came out like pink. And parts of it even came out white. It was weird. Like some parts of it were blonde, some parts of it were pink, and some parts of it were white. It was really strange, like a little streak I had going on there. And a lot of my friends made fun of me for it because they thought it like I did on accident. The colors were on accident, but the streak was on purpose. I didn't keep the blue haired streak look for all that long though because as I mentioned, I was getting tired of the blue look and it was getting darker and darker anyway. So I just decided to full on like change my look. So I went to the barber shop and I got a lot of my hair cut off because I had been steadily growing it out a little bit. So I cut it all off so that it was real short. And then I asked my mom if she could dye it for me. So she dyed my hair red or whatever. And after bleaching my hair, of course. So my hair was purple. My hair was like light purple for a second. and then we put the red hair dye in. For some reason, this particular time we didn't do the same process though. For some reason this time, I think it was because I was lazy, but I didn't want to do the turban thing with the heat pack. So I didn't do the heat pack this time. So when I washed out the excess dye, my hair was not red. It was pink. My hair was it was very light. It was very light red. It was like a pinkish tint to it. Um, I remember distinctly the next day after I dyed my hair, I really needed to go shoveling because this was February. I dyed my hair, and winter in New Hampshire is brutal sometimes. So last winter we had like a snowstorm or whatever, and it was the weekend, so I was in charge of shoveling out the walkways, and I wore a hat to try and stop my hair from dripping, because I knew that if my hair got a little bit wet, that it was gonna start leaking everywhere. But from my shoveling, I started to sweat, so I was literally sweating like pink red. It almost looked like I was bleeding. So I'm happy that nobody saw me because they probably would have thought I hurt myself doing something stupid. Besides doing the stupid thing of dyeing my hair pink on accident. And I was in denial about it being pink as well. I went to school and people are giving me weird looks because my hair was pink and I didn't know, or at least I was in denial about my hair being pink. A lot of my friends were telling me, you know, your hair is like pink, right? And I'm like, no, it ain't. It's red. It's just really light. That's all. And they were like, okay, if you say so. Um, so I didn't keep that pink look for too long. I think I kept that pink look for about a week of school, so about 5 days. Um, and I remember I went to SAT prep with the pink hair still. I remember because I took a selfie with adrenaline right after we were done. So, and my hair was pink in that picture. So, yeah, I kept the pink look for about a week. And then my mom sat me down. She's like, "Sit down." And I'm like, "Why?" And she's like, "I'm gonna re-dye your hair because it's not the color you asked for." And I'm like, "No, you don't have to do that. I like this color." I was kind of lying to myself about it. I didn't like the color, but I didn't want my mom to have to, dye my hair again. And dyeing hair is a tough ass process to begin with. And I never did it myself because it's not like I could see myself, and so if I used the mirror, then I knew I was gonna make a huge mess of it in the bathroom. So I didn't do my own hair. My mom always dyed my hair for me. And I was telling myself I was gonna learn because at that point I was telling myself I was gonna keep dyeing my hair the rest of my life. Uh, Obviously, I did not end up doing that, but or maybe not so obviously. You guys can't even see my face no more in video, so you guys might even think my hair is dyed now. It ain't. I haven't dyed my hair in a long time, which I'll get to in a second. Um, but she re-dyed my hair, and that picture you see of me with the red hair in the still frame, that was the end result. Much more dark red, blood red. Definitely a better color than that weak ass pink shit I've been strolling around with for the past week, and definitely better than that blackish blue hair I'd had for the couple of months before that. Uh, Funny thing is that streak that I put in my blue hair, it kind of kept piercing through. No matter how many times I dyed it, you could still see that streak in my hair. It would always bleed through. So like even though I had dyed over it, there was still a pink streak in my red hair. Uh, and that red hair, it actually got me a lot of positive attention. I remember when I came back to school after re-dyeing my hair the right color, um, a lot of girls were actually hitting on me, which I was surprised about. And of course, as I've already mentioned in other shoot videos, by that point I was limited to only pursuing tomboy girls, and it was girly girls who were going after me, so I always rejected them, which I of course regret now. Although, come to think of it, if girls were only pursuing me for my hair color, then maybe it's a good thing I rejected them. But anyway, so yeah, so I really liked this new red hair dye look I had, and a lot of other people agreed it was a good look on me. Most people think that the red hair looked a lot better than the blue hair. I don't know per se. I think that in the early stages of my blue hair, it looked good. It was only when it started to darken, I think my blue hair started to look really awkward. And the red hair in its early stages, with the pink was a bad look for me. But this blood red look was probably my favorite look of mine when I was still dyeing my hair, and it really matched because like I was goth at the time, so it really matched up with my persona. Because the blood red color went really well with the black clothes that I was wearing. So um, yeah, so I kept the red hair dye look for a while, but that was the official last time I ever dyed my hair. Was that time my mom redid it for me? And you might be wondering how I kept the red hair dye look if I didn't dye it again. The thing is, I just didn't like reapply it, so my hair just kept getting lighter and lighter. It never got to the point where it was like light pink like it was, but it was getting noticeably lighter. By summertime, it was like not. It was definitely not blood red anymore. By summer, by summertime, it was light red. It was like it was about. I don't know what to compare it to off the top of my head, but it was just really light red. Kind of like a strawberry, I guess. Like if you've seen red on a strawberry, that was about the color of my hair by summertime. And yeah, that streak was still bleeding through, and my mom always made me use this acne cream with that had like traces of like hydrogen peroxide in it, to eliminate the acne on my face. So whenever that shit touched my hair, it would always kind of work like bleach, and so my bangs were like turning orange. The rest of my hair was like strawberry red, and then I had that streak on the side that was like pink. So my hair was red, orange, and pink all at the same time. And besides the fact that I didn't cut my hair, I was trying to grow it long, so my blonde roots were poking out too. So like my hair was four different colors at the same time by summer. Um, and by the end of the summer, I was getting kind of impatient about growing my hair long because at that point, my idea was I was going to grow my hair out into a long braid that was going to be red at the very end, but blonde everywhere else. I was going to grow out my blonde hair and just keep it dyed red at the end. I didn't. I didn't re-dye it again or nothing like that because I was so sick of dyeing my hair. It was such a complicated process and it wasn't doing no good for anybody. Uh, anyway, so by the end of the summer, I was just getting really impatient about my hair because I thought it was growing too slow and it was really hot outside. That was a mistake of mine, growing my hair long throughout the summer instead of like during the winter. So by the end of the summer, I wanted my mom to just shave off all my hair. I wanted to just be bald. My mom shot that down. She told me that she would cut it short, but not like bald or nothing. So she cut off most of my hair. So I got like a short blonde haircut that had traces of red still in it. So my mom cut my hair again a couple weeks later before I went to school. So my hair was completely blonde again by the time I was starting my senior year, and I never dyed my hair again after that. I've kept pretty much the same look ever since then, except for that point I shaved my head bald, which I'll get to in another shoot video. But besides that, I've never dyed my hair. I've kept the same natural blonde hair that I've always had since I was born. Uh, it's been lightening up over the summer because of how much I've been outside or whatever. But I'm not planning on dyeing my hair again. It was a mistake for me to dye my hair to begin with because during high school, like everybody always knew me as that guy with blue hair or that guy with red hair. You know what I mean? And there was people asking me on the streets after I cut off all my hair, like, "What happened to your red hair?" And I'm like, "Oh, I cut it off." And they're like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because I was getting tired of it." And they're like, "Okay." I guess a lot of people did not want me to lose my red hair look. I guess a lot of people thought it was a good look for me. But honestly, I'm happy I cut it all off because I was starting to feel like Ronald fucking McDonald in the later stages of my red hair dye. Because it was just getting so light, and I was pretty pale at the time as well. I've gotten a lot tanner in the last year, but at that point I was pretty pale. So it was like I had pale skin and red hair. I felt like Ronald McDonald, and I ate at McDonald's enough to feel like that as well. Um, and so yeah, that's basically why I dyed my hair because I wanted to go through like a new look to go with my new persona at the time. And I really liked that look. It made me feel alternative and cool. But by the time I was in my senior year, I felt like it was time for me to grow the fuck up and just stick to my natural color. So I've kept my natural blonde hair ever since. I'm not planning on ever dyeing it again. I think dyeing it was a mistake. I think if I kept my blonde hair during my junior year, I probably wouldn't have been. I might have been a little bit more lucky at getting a girlfriend in my junior year if I kept my natural blonde hair. I think so. So in hindsight, I really regret dyeing my hair. But at the time, I thought it was really cool, and a lot of other people thought it was cool. So I guess I have that going for me. So yeah, that's why I was dyeing my hair. So anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this shoot video, actually, I don't want to sign off yet. I don't really want to sign off quite yet. I just want to give a quick message to my viewers about dyeing your hair. Really think about dyeing your hair before you do it because it's not permanent. It's not like a tattoo. You can always cut hair and regrow it if you don't like the color. But like if you like really think about dyeing your hair, think about like especially if it's a bright color like blue or red. Like really think about it before you do it, especially if you're a guy. Because I was a boy dyeing my hair, and at my school, it's mostly just girls that dye their hair. Like, there's only a couple of guys that dyed their hair, and they always did like highlights. Like, they would dye the top of their hair, but leave the rest the natural color. Well, I dyed the whole thing, so I stood out a lot. Like, I even dyed my sideburns the color just to match. So just as a heads up, like be careful with what hair dye, like what color you dye your hair. Like unless you don't care what people think of you. Uh, but from my personal perspective, even though I don't really care what people think of me no more, I still really regret this particular look. So just really think dyeing your hair through before you do it if it's an exotic color. And just most importantly, you're probably better off just sticking to your natural color. Most guys like girls that are natural, and vice versa as well. Uh, you know, so just be careful when dyeing your hair, and learn to appreciate your natural hair color at some point in your life. That's just my opinion on things. So anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this shoot video, remember to give it a thumbs up. Share this video with all of your friends and family on all of your various social media platforms. Ring that notification bell and let me know in the comments down below what you liked and didn't like about this shoot. And I'll see all you dudes and chicks in the next video.